Welcome back to the Diagon Podcast, an audio blog TTRPG actual play podcast. I'm your game master, Josiah, and with me as always is the player,
William.
Every time I hear the word blog, I think of XKCD because there's a bunch of comics where he just talks about blogging because it's been around long enough for blogging to have been relevant. Anyways, where we last left off, Corva had taken Dalton Akley and was driving him back to the station for questioning.
Yes.
All right. Do you make any stops on your way, or are you just straight there?
Where did we leave the other officer doing? Because we had the one that went with me, and then the other one was...
You sent one to...
Oh, yeah. He was looking up Coney. Is there any information about that available yet from him?
It hasn't been very long. It's been like...
Oh, I was going to ask you that. How much time has passed?
Since the investigation started?
Yeah.
It's been a few hours. Just travel time, mostly.
Right. Okay, so we still have...
You still have most of your time left.
20 hours. Okay. What time of the day are we in right now, then?
To you, it feels like a very early morning, but nobody's really synchronized on the station.
Right. But for Dalton, it's a late night, right?
You would assume as much.
Yeah. Okay.
But hard to say, because maybe he just parties all day.
True. That is possible. Has he said anything since getting into the cop car?
Not really. Pretty relaxed about the whole affair. You don't know if that's something he knows or just the fact that he's stoned off his gourd.
Can I look up his record on my cop car computer and see how many times he's had to deal with stuff like this?
Sure. We'll say your companion takes over the driving and you start looking things up. Call that reasoning bureaucracy.
Okay, so that's a +5 to my roll. 11.
With an 11, you can see he's been brought in for various minor drug charges, a few assault charges. They've all been dropped. There are some notes in there that Internal Affairs suspects corruption but can't prove it.
So if he's not saying anything, then I think we'll go ahead and head to the station.
You get to the station, put him in an interrogation room.
I guess that would make the most sense. My character was planning on doing, for the most part, was give him time for the drugs to just kind of stop affecting him mentally so I can talk to him sober.
Throw him in a cell, let him cool off while you do other stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll say you can have your other guy do that while you get started on whatever you want to do next.
Okay. And he doesn't say anything getting put into the cell?
No, he's kind of laughing. It's all a joke to him. He is searched before being put in the cell, and they do pull a gun that's identical to the one that was left at the scene of the crime. That doesn't mean much. If it's a 3D printed gun, they're pretty standard.
But it's the same, like, print model.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where did you say that they found this gun? On him?
Yeah, under his jacket.
Okay. So then as he gets thrown in, I'm going to look at the cop that was with me for this and ask him to keep an eye on him, make sure nothing bad happens, keep in touch with me if something does, though.
Okay, so you're just going to have him just dedicated to watching this guy?
Yeah, mostly because of just the way how the space station seems to be as far as life is kind of whatever. I mean, he's a high-priced individual, sure, but I don't want to take any risks.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that cop's fine with that?
Yeah, he doesn't really care too much. He's there to do whatever you tell him to do. You got assigned promising beat cops, basically.
Okay. What's his name?
The beat cop, that one?
Yeah.
Let me pull up a random generator. His name's Amos. No last name.
Is that related to apparently the bugs not having last names, or is that just something else?
Some humans have essentially rejected having last names in an attempt to adopt other alien cultures. It's not particularly common, but you've probably run into it a few times.
So him being a human, that actually means that he's very open-minded.
In theory.
Right.
And also you can't get the other cop's name anyways. So the other cop is Ricky Thompson.
Okay. And Ricky.
So that's your...
And Ricky should still be watching or getting information on Coney, right?
Yes, you sent him. He probably went to the station to start investigating it. So he's at the mainframe.
Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and thank Amos for keeping an eye on him and head over to Ricky.
You see, Ricky, have you seen the second Blade Runner movie?
Is that the more recent one, or are we talking about the ones with Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
Which one?
There's only the two. The new one is not Harrison Ford's in it, but he's not the main character. There's the scene in there. He's looking at these like scrolling things of text. That's what I'm imagining the mainframe is like. It's the Blade Runner mainframe.
Okay.
So you get there, he's doing that.
Okay. How do I want to approach this? I just go in there and say, "Hey, Ricky,
He just says, yeah.
got anything interesting to tell me about Coney?"
Nothing too crazy's turned up yet. He could be trouble, but it's always hard to say. Lots of these union guys do get their hands dirty, but nothing concrete. Looks like, he was in contact with the victim as we expected. He's apparently been in contact also with Dalton.
Interesting. Do you know when they were in contact together, Dalton and him?
Looks like it was a few weeks back. We've got some video feed.
Can you pull that up?
Yeah, so he goes over, pulls it up. It's body cam footage of some cops bringing Dalton in, and you can see Coney was talking to Dalton. You don't catch much of what Coney says other than, that's a bad idea. You notice Coney is the same species as you.
Okay.
But that's all he says. He doesn't get involved in the arrest, and Dalton more or less goes the same way he did today.
Okay. And you said this was a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, about 3.
Okay. And Ricky, do you have an address that I can visit this guy at?
Yeah, he hands you a data pad basically with the information he's found.
Okay.
So now you'll get to make your roll.
Which is essentially his role.
Yeah, so reasoning, bureaucracy.
Okay, so that's another +5. Okay, 11 again. The same numbers came up. I'm like, okay.
So what you get on him is he doesn't live on the station, but it looks like he's basically been staying at a hotel.
Okay. What time is that hotel in?
You're saying like what time of the day is it for the hotel?
Yes.
It'd be around midday for the hotel. It's around the middle of the station, so.
Okay. So, okay, I think I'll tell Ricky, thanks for the information. I guess go ahead and come with me now, unless there's more information you think you can dig up on him.
He shrugs. He's just a beat cop. He would take longer than you would to find information here. It's just that that's time you don't have to spend doing it. So basically the question is, do you think there's more he could dig up here? The other thing is, every time you reassign your guys, they have to move to wherever you're assigning them to. So if you take him now and then say, oh, go back to the terminal again.
That's time wasted.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, with that in mind, then I'm going to say to Ricky, go ahead and dive back into the mainframe and see if you can find any more connections between Coney and Catherine. Because she's also had run-ins with him, but she didn't say anything more than apparently her husband and him had confrontations as well. So if we can get something on that, and then let's stick with that for now.
All right. So he goes back to researching, and you are going where?
So now I'm going to go ahead and make a stop over to my keys because I want to ask that guy that I saw the stranger that talked to one of the regulars there. I want to talk with him before I head over to where Coney's potentially at.
So you head back to Mick's. Mick is there, the guy that you want to talk to. I'll roll to see if he's there, but probably not. He is not there.
Do I know the name of this guy?
Why don't you just make a raw reasoning or reasoning composure? We'll call that a memory check.
Okay, that's a +5. If I get 11, I'm going to freak out. Okay, that's better. 13.
Yeah, you have dealt with the guy before. You can probably find him if you want to. You know where he works.
Do I know his name?
Yes. His name is Vodvern, which I'll type in here so you can sort of see it.
Vodvern. Okay.
So he is also a non-human.
Also a bug or something else?
Something else. You've never caught what his species is specifically. It's fairly humanoid, though. Some non-human skin coloration and particularly sharp teeth are the main distinguishing features.
So I go up to Mick and I ask when was the last time he's seen Vodvern?
Yeah. Last night, same as you, I'd imagine.
Did you see that weird person, that newcomer that we've never really seen at the bar before that was talking with him?
Make an influence street talk check.
Okay, so that's a +4 to my roll. 11.
Says, yeah, I think woman in a red dress. Didn't catch her name. She didn't bother to buy a drink. So.
Mick, you'd be doing me a solid favor. Is there a chance I can get a copy of the security cameras for that time she would have been here?
It's a pretty big ask, so
I know.
I'm going to need you to roll that influence street talk pretty hard right now.
Okay, another +4. Wow, I'd roll 2 6s, so that's a 16 total.
All right, nice. Double sixes, basically like a crit. So sort of sighs and glances at the, few people that are there right now and reaches under the bar and discreetly passes you a data chip. And says, look, just don't mention it. Can't have anyone knowing this is a cop bar.
Don't worry about it, man. You got the best coffee in town, so I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize your business.
So you've got that data chip. You can stick it in your computer on your car.
To view it?
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay. It's the whole night's footage, so you have to scrub around. But you find a blonde woman in a red dress. Looks like she comes in, talks to Vodvern for a little bit, and then leaves.
Would it be possible to get a facial recognition off of this?
I'd say that's going to be reasoning. I think it's just going to be reasoning because you don't have any computer skills here.
I'm relying on the AI or whatever to do it for me, really.
Yeah.
Can I give it the right prompt? No. Okay, that is a 10.
Yeah, I'd imagine this is a pretty standard thing. So you get a hit on the database. Her name is Lisa Green. You'd also know that Vodvern, and the reason you know him is that he's been a source for you on narcotics.
That's, I think, as much information as I'm going to be able to get out of that for now. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and start heading over to the section where Coney should be, his hotel.
All right. Drive over there. So now from the start of the episode, it's been a couple more hours just from all the driving around and, scrubbing the tapes and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You get there, looks like a pretty normal hotel. Think kind of like Holiday Inn Express level.
Okay.
I assume you park and you're going to go in and talk to the front desk.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say that's going to be influence bureaucracy to get the room number.
Oh, and I have the chip with me. I don't leave it in the car.
Okay.
So what was it again for talking to the front desk?
Influence bureaucracy, because you're trying to convince them that you basically have the right to get that information.
Okay, so +3 to my roll. 9.
Yeah, they're kind of giving you the runaround on this one.
They're giving me the runaround that he's even here, potentially?
Basically, yeah. They're sort of like, we're not at liberty to discuss what guests may or may not be at the hotel or what room they're staying in, sir. You'll need to get a warrant, etc., etc. Make an awareness composure check as you're having this discussion.
Okay, so that's going to be a +5. 11.
With an 11, out of the corner of your compound eye, you see Coney leaving the hotel behind you, essentially.
Okay, so then I'm going to tell the front desk person, you know what, thanks for the help. I'll see you guys later. And then I start going that way.
You catch up to him pretty easily. He's not trying to run or anything. He doesn't even know that you want to talk to him. So you catch him just outside the place. He's got a old-fashioned briefcase in one of his hands and just some water in the other.
What are his other 2 hands doing?
Nothing.
Okay. So I run up to Coney and say, whatever my homeland's greeting would be, I want to be respectful.
So you walk up to him and you use 2 of your hands to grasp 2 of his free hands and shake them wordlessly. And you engage in pheromone transfer. You've introduced yourself.
Okay. Does that give me a +1 on everything regarding this guy?
You don't know. That's for me to know.
Okay. So then what does he say to being greeted in pheromones and all that?
Says, hello, and he sort of looks at your outfit. Detective, what can I do for you?
So, did you hear the news about Mr. Akley's fortunate death this morning?
Says, yes, unfortunate. We were in the middle of discussions, so very disruptive. Make an awareness interrogation check.
It's going to be a +6. Ooh, no. That's a 9 total.
All right, yeah, he seems irritated by the fact that this man is dead. Somewhat surprised, perhaps. Hard to get a read on him. You haven't had to interrogate a lot of your species before, so oddly enough, you're better at interrogating humans.
So, from my perspective, he seems pretty normal about this.
He seems genuine, as far as you can tell.
Yeah. I say to Coney that's the reason why I came here to find you. I wanted to ask you about what you guys were talking about. What was the situation with all that?
Well, he sort of starts walking and waves for you to join him. Sort of there's a cafe nearby, so you have seats.
Yeah, he loves coffee too.
He says, no, someone offers him coffee. He's like, please, I'm working. But he gets a bagel. You see, I happen to represent a number of groups of miners spread throughout the system. There have been some issues regarding safety recently, so I've been attempting to get Mr. Akley to shell out the money to improve our equipment.
And it sounds like you were making progress.
I'd like to think so, although you'll note that no equipment has left the station and no money has been transferred, so...
Right. So now, because of this unfortunate death, who do you now have to talk to for anything regarding this?
He sort of leans back in his chair and says, well, that's the interesting thing. Most likely, this death means that Mr. Akley's company will not be getting a renewal on his contract. It's possible still, of course. Whoever steps in to fill the void for him could secure the deal, but most likely it's going to fall to Archon, which means I'll need to deal with Archon, who I have not been dealing with yet. Make another awareness interrogation check.
Okay, +6. 11.
Okay, so you get the feeling that he's not telling the truth about not having contact with Archon.
And who is Archon? I'm assuming it's the other company that's in the bid, right?
Yeah. Also, you just know that Archon is a fairly large company, sort of like a 3M.
And publicly known to be within the bidding for the contract?
You were looking stuff up, so I'll say you knew that about it. This is sort of the rival company.
So he's saying he hasn't talked with Archon, but I have the suspicion that he has.
Right. Make a influence composure check for me.
Okay, that will be a +3. 9.
Okay, so he continues on something of an inconvenience to start dealing with Archon at this point. They may be more open to discussion, but Akley had certain advantages as well. He had a rather nice tax deal that left some funds open that we could have repurposed for the equipment. Archon does not. You can make another awareness interrogation check.
Okay, that's a +6. There we go. 16.
Okay. You can tell that he realized that you think he's lying about not talking to Archon, and he's trying to sort of move the conversation along to get away from that, and that he's telling the truth about the tax deal that Akley has going on, but he's not worried about dealing with Archon at all, and there's something he isn't telling you about Akley.
So the truth is that he doesn't have an issue going to Archon at all.
Right.
Okay. I think my approach then will be to say something along the lines of, I'm really trying to figure out who would want to kill Mr. Akley, because this seems very out of the blue. He seems very nice to most people. He seems to be a good person. I'm hoping you can help me with this. Is there anything about Akley's background stuff that could have led to this happening?
Make an interrogation awareness check.
Okay, that's a +6. Do I get a +1 for my pheromones?
That's all kept behind the veil of game mastery.
With a +6, that is an 11.
So he says, I couldn't say for certain, but if you want my opinion, his son has racked up quite a large gambling debt with some rather shady individuals. I've heard about it quite a bit in my numerous visits to the Akley estate. I suspect that could have something to do with it. With Driscoll dead, Dalton stands to inherit a large sum, enough to wipe out his debts, as does his wife.
His wife also has debts? Or you mean inherit?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. You meant just that she would also inherit a big sum of whatever.
He nods. Yes. I couldn't say for certain, but when people have that amount of money flowing from place to place, I think it's a fair guess. As far as you can tell, he's being very candid.
Okay. So then I want to say I'm glad that you brought up Dalton. I know that he was arrested 3 weeks ago, roughly, and you were there by proximity. Can you tell me more about that?
Make another awareness interrogation check. Bet you're wishing that was a 3 instead of a 2.
Okay, +6. That's a 15 total.
He says, well, I was trying to convince him to work with the Myers Union to help sway his father, frankly. And he was rather convinced that he should just continue on drinking, gambling, and engaging in other less legal activities. As far as you can tell, that is the truth.
He just completely blew him off.
That's the impression you're getting here. Sort of continues on. I thought perhaps I could convince Mr. Dalton to turn his life around somewhat, and that in so doing, I could earn the favor of Mr. Driscoll, had been quite unhappy with his son's activities. I won't claim that these were selfless motives by any means.
No, but How long have you known the Ackleys, like personally like this?
It's been a number of years. I've been the point of contact between them and the miners' union for some time.
Okay. So what do you think of his wife? Because I know she's been somewhat involved with just being around when you guys are discussing business.
Early on, I've been there since before they were married, actually. Early on, things seemed okay. To be perfectly frank, I think she was in it for the money from the start. Not that that's surprising, but she doesn't seem the type to lash out. She was going to get a fine settlement from the divorce, anyways.
Would it have been pretty much the same as what she's going to get from him dying?
It's hard to say. It might have actually been more, simply because she would have been guaranteed a continued income stream.
Right.
And that's more or less goes with your knowledge of these sorts of proceedings. You haven't been involved in divorce court, but you've certainly dealt with plenty of crimes of passion because of it.
Okay, so just thinking to myself internally from what this other guy is telling me, Catherine seems to be pretty. She could have gotten more money lasting way longer just being with him, the divorce, whatever. Delton, though, well, I guess he has something to kind of gain from this, but he just doesn't seem to be doing moves in a way that would make sense, which might just be because he's on drugs. So then I'm going to go ahead and thank Coney for giving me the time to talk about this and do the ceremonial thing we do as bugs when we part ways.
So you give him a low five.
Well, we call it a low four. It's all four arms at the same time.
That's even better. Yeah. So you do that. I assume you head back to your car.
I give him my business card in case he has anything he might think that would be of help. Bug to bug.
Yeah, he takes it and says, "Yes, of course. I'll tell you if anything comes up."
Okay. So then now I do head back to the car.
You get back to your car, you have two messages. Or wait, no, you'd have three. So one is from Amos, who's telling you that Dalton started to sober up and that his lawyer is there. So I have a double problem. Ricky has some information for you, which we'll have you roll for. And then Ellis Upham has a message for you as well. So which one do you want to do first?
Ellis Upham. That's the...
Forensics.
Okay, I'll go with Ellis Upham's message first.
So he contacts you and says, "We've been working our way through local cameras and that sort of thing. We have reason to suspect it's not a perfect facial match, but it could be that Catherine was there with another man the night of the murder. The man's face was obscured. We weren't able to get a scan on him."
Where was this footage from?
And he's sent you the footage as well. So it's sort of a business that's just a short distance from the estate, sort of them passing that camera.
Okay, so it wasn't that they were hanging out there. It's just, this was just a drive-by, whatever. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, so it means they were in the area, which is, or at least people that appear to be them.
How close was this to the time of the murder?
Fairly close, within an hour.
Okay. From it before it happening, or?
From before. They don't, however, have any footage of her leaving that area.
So she was on the floor or that level of the space station pretty much that entire time.
You can't really say for sure, because the other thing is you guys found the body fairly quickly, and as far as you could tell, she had been in her home the whole time.
But that's on a different level, right?
Yeah, it's on a different level, but you'd have to check any alibi. She never gave one, you never asked for one.
So then how do I know she was on her level?
Just because she was there when you got there, and like she didn't seem to have been sweating or anything, so.
Okay, that's really good to know. Okay, so let's go on to Ricky's message.
All right, so for Ricky's message, make a reasoning investigation. See if he pieces together this information for you.
So this is a +7. 14 total.
Okay, let's just go over what you asked him to look into again. You had wanted him to look into...
Last I asked him was to look into Coney and Catherine.
Coney and Catherine. Okay, so more or less he says, doesn't seem to be anything immediate between Coney and Catherine, but I did a little more digging, and the reason for the divorce seems to be that Akley had a mistress, Lisa Green.
What the fuck?
And
that's funny.
Coney had spoken with this mistress as well as Catherine, so there's no direct link between Catherine and Lisa Green, but certainly Coney seems to have tried to ingratiate himself at every opportunity with anyone in that household.
So Coney has met Lisa Green.
Yes.
Interesting.
And this is confirmed with he sends you the details. There's sort of some tabloids have pictures of it and that sort of thing.
Okay, so now we know Lisa's Green's potential connection to all this, but we don't know why she was talking with Vavern, or however you pronounce that.
Vodvern.
Vavern. And the last message would be from Amos.
Yeah. And that was just that Dalton is sobering up and his lawyer's there.
Okay, that was it. Okay, I'm going to call up Ricky, and I want him to start looking into Lisa Green and everything about her in connection with the Ackleys in general.
Okay. So basically, full background check on Lisa.
Yeah, and he should still be at the data center unless he's done something else. Okay, with Dalton and his lawyer, if I don't get back there soon, is the lawyer just going to get him out?
You would guess that that's probably the case. From what you had seen on his arrests before, it seems like he gets sprung pretty fast. His bail gets paid instantly, basically. You know, he's in and out, revolving door on his jail cell.
Okay, so then I'm going to contact Amos and tell him delay, and I'm going to speed over there as fast as I can. So if that means I have to take the, what did you call it on the last episode? The actually riding outside of the space station to get onto a different level.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about.
All right. So we're going to close the episode with you entering space.
Oh boy.
The plot has certainly thickened.
Welcome everyone to the third episode of our coffee-loving, crime-solving detective bug Corva. Today we discovered the mysterious woman, and her name is Lisa Green. Who is she, and how is she connected to the Akley case? Stick around and find out. We at the Die Again Podcast love hearing your thoughts, so drop your comments wherever you're tuning in from. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Threads. Just search for Die Again Podcast, all one word. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next episode. Bye.
What's the name of Akley's company?
Akley.
Oh, okay, it's just Akley. That's convenient.